Happening now, the first phase of the Savannah Harbor expansion project. We're taking a live look at the Georgia ports from the WTOC Granger Nissan Skycam. A ceremony was held today at Old Fort Jackson, kicking off the project that's been in the works for nearly 20 years now. The first phase is to bring up the Css Georgia ironclad that's been at the bottom of the river since 1864. A dive team will bring up most of the artifacts first, and then the bulk of the vessel will be brought up this summer. WTOC has the exclusive look at what these divers are doing right now. Our Elizabeth Rollins joins us live on the Savannah River. So, Elizabeth, when do they hop in the water?
Well, Wendy, it's happening in just a couple of minutes here. We're literally standing on the boat that is hovering over the Css Georgia, and we're kind of in a tight area here, so I'm going to have our photographer kind of swing around here. You should be able to see the diver. He is getting ready to enter the water. This is their second dive of the day. They dive with the tide, so they only have a solid window of about an hour of prime diving in the morning and then in the afternoon. And what they're doing, they're using computerized technology to create a GPS of the area below so they know what areas to cover. I spoke to one of the divers today who says they can only put one diver in the water at a time.
You can only put one person in the water at the time because of the diving technique that we're using. And you may have seen them go overboard. They wear a helmet like the one sitting on this chair. So for every person that we have on the bottom, there's 4 more people up on the surface that are tending him, talking to him, and being sure that whatever he's doing is safe.
So as you can imagine, this is a very tedious project. It is supposed to last until about June, so they have about 6 months to bring this entire ironclad up. Now, coming up on the news, this project has been in the works for years, and Congressman Jack Kingston has seen it through all the way. We'll hear from him coming up all new live at 5. For now, we're live from Savannah River. Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. How interesting.
Big day for Savannah and all of the Southeast as the harbor expansion project gets underway.
Today, starting that process. It's been so long in the making to bring a ship off the river floor that's been sitting there. Well, this has been a long time in the making, too. More than 150 years. Live at 5, taking a live look from our WTOC downtown Skycam at the Savannah River towards Fort Jackson, where the recovery effort has started. And in a WTOC exclusive, our Elizabeth Rollins is the only reporter allowed to go on the boat with divers to that site. She joins us now live. And Elizabeth, only one diver is allowed to go into the water at a time.
That's right, Mike. If you were watching an hour ago, the diver had gotten in the water right at 4 o'clock. And then just like that, at 5 o'clock, he's already out. But I want to show you exactly what they've done in just this last hour. Take a look at this map here to give you an idea. This is where we are right here at the surface of the water. But this is how far the diver went, 42 feet below in this area. That's where they've identified possibly an old piece of machinery, maybe like an old boiler from the actual wreckage. Today was a very special day for a lot of folks because lawmakers have been talking about this project since the 1990s, and now it's finally coming to fruition. Former Congressman Jack Kingston was one of the major advocates for the Savannah Harbor expansion project. He was behind it for nearly 2 decades he was in office. Kingston says he was never willing to give up on the project, but he thought he would never see it happen.
Oh, I thought that, it seemed like so often there was one step forward and then a half a step backwards. But, again, good state, local and federal team that never flinched. We just kept pushing and pushing.
Now, even though he's not in office anymore, former Congressman Jack Kingston says he will continue to see this project through. It is expected to take about 5 years. They'll be out here doing this part of the project until about June. Of course, we'll continue to follow this and keep you updated. For now, we're live from the Savannah River. Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.
We want to
The firing of the cannons at Fort Jackson marked the first dive into the water. It's the beginning of the Savannah Harbor expansion project. It's been in the works for nearly 2 decades and is finally coming to fruition. Lawmakers like Congressman Jack Kingston have been pushing for the harbor to be deepened by 5 feet so that bigger container ships can make it through the channel.
Today, we will begin the journey to get to 47 feet. such a significant change as the world of shipping has changed as well.
It's a $706 million project that's shared between the state and federal government and involves the Army Corps of Engineers and the Georgia Ports Authority. Today marked the first phase of removing the Css Georgia ironclad ship that's nestled at the bottom of the channel near Fort Jackson. That has to come up first before crews can start deepening the harbor. The project is expected to take about 5 years, bringing more jobs and goods, and will make Savannah more globally competitive.
And this will be a huge part of the East Coast waterway infrastructure improvements to account for these larger vessels that are coming and save us, keep goods and services costs low.
You've got wood and iron in the same artifact.
Parker Brooks is a conservator from Texas A&M. He's conducting an initial assessment of all the artifacts recovered from the Css Georgia. Divers are in the water every day, bringing up not what they can see, but what they can feel.
It's all by touch. We have an electronic grid, we have a tracker on the diver, and we put them down in the unit because it's zero visibility.
But even in these conditions, divers have found more than 400 artifacts in less than a month. Some of the items include leg irons that would have been used to hold prisoners, a trunnion cap from a cannon, and a trigger guard from a musket. Divers will recover only what they can carry until June, when the Navy will bring in cranes to do the heavy lifting. Then everything will make its way to Texas A&M to be restored.
From here, we're going to take the iron and brass artifacts and we'll put them through treatment. That we can restore the shine, and we can restore the metal to close to its original state.
A process Brooks says will take several years to complete, but the goal is to use what they have to recreate what the vessel looked like. The challenge will be filling in the blanks with pieces that are missing, and archaeologists say there's a big piece of the puzzle that can't be found.
We do not know where the lower hold of this vessel is at.
Archaeologists say they've surveyed the entire river and the belly of the ship is nowhere to be found, a mystery they hope other artifacts may be able to answer.
Because it's a big mystery.
Make their way to our port. Our Elizabeth Rollins is getting an exclusive first look as crews begin this process. She's joining us now. She is the only TV reporter on that boat. Elizabeth, are you heading towards the outer channel?
We're about to leave Syria, but we're standing on the Army Corps of Engineers boats. We've got our life vests on. It's a rather large boat. You've got indoor, outdoor access. We're going to be on this boat for about 40 minutes this morning just to get out to Dredge, Alaska. That's doing the dredging. They're starting on the outer channel and working their way in. This project has been in the works for almost 17 years now. Lawmakers have been pushing it because it will bring substantial economic benefits to the U.S., allowing larger and more heavily loaded vessels to access the harbor. It's a $706 million project that's shared between the state and federal government, involving the Army Corps of Engineers and the Georgia Ports Authority. It's estimated to take about 5 years to complete. Again, we're going to be out here all morning on this boat, bringing you live updates, and of course going to show you as soon as we get out there what it looks like as they begin this process. For now, we're live from Tybee Island. Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.
In Atlanta, joins us now live from that boat. Elizabeth.
Yes, Iria, good morning. I hope y'all can hear us now. We're definitely working in the elements. We're well on our way to that site. It's about 17 miles from Port Pulaski, well into the Atlantic Ocean. Crews are going to be working their way in as they make this project happen. It's going to take about 1,218 days just to complete the outer channel. We were just being briefed by the project manager inside. He says crews will work about 24 hours a day. There's about 40 men who live on board that dredge. They're going to be working on this. They've been out there for 5 days so far. It started last week, and now we're officially going out there, getting that first look. We're going to be bringing you updates all morning. For now, we're live from the boat. Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.
Live in the middle of the ocean.
I want to give you a better idea of what's actually happening out here at sea. This is the Dredge, Alaska. It's digging 5 feet deeper, pumping that material to this barge, and then that barge will take that material out to sea.
It's only day 5 of a project that's projected to take more than 1,200 days just to complete the outer channel. About 40 men are on board the dredge Alaska. Until the job is done, the dredge will not stop, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And while a lot of the action is happening under the water, you can get an idea of just how much of the seafloor they're removing because it's being pumped into another vessel.
I want to show you this barge that's coming into the site behind me. It actually will be filled up with all the material that's collected as they dig 5 feet deeper, and then it will take that material and disperse it out to sea.
They have a permit to move the collected material to another part of the ocean. They make about 6 to 8 trips a day because it takes about 2 hours just to fill one of these up. While it may seem like a complicated process, some say the hard part is over.
Well, it is a very exciting day, and when you think that this is a project that started over 20 years ago and now we're finally seeing it come to fruition, that's very exciting.
In about 5 years, larger and heavier vessels can access the ports. And while today was about celebrating this victory, many folks are ready to celebrate even bigger milestones.
Now we've got to stay focused on getting it completed.
Now crews expect to have the outer channel complete by July of 2018. Reporting from the Atlantic Ocean, Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.
Today, crews are finally beginning that process. Elizabeth Rollins is the only TV reporter out there with them as they begin that process. She is live right now in the middle of the ocean.
We just arrived out here to the site. I want to show you. You can see that is the dredge Alaska. The boat's pretty rocky at this point, but far out there, dredge Alaska, they are actually pumping what they're dredging into this barge over here. We're about 5 miles from Tybee offshore. They are pumping from the outer channel, which starts from Port Pulaski and goes about 17 miles to the Atlantic. The project manager says it's going to take about 1,218 days to complete. They'll complete the outer channel by July 18th, 2018. Crews were out here. They started about 5 days ago. 40 men live on board the dredge Alaska, and they are constantly working about 24 hours a day. It's such a beautiful sight out here. We're going to be out here all morning and continue to keep you updated. For now, we're live from the Atlantic. Elizabeth Rollins, WTOC News.